So Dolly Parton dies and the left are in howling hysterics, not because of her death. They don't want to mourn an icon, but because of her politics. Now, the music icon had always been partisan, and she was amazing for it. But when reports emerged in 2016 that she had endorsed Hillary Clinton against Donald Trump, she issued a clarifying post on social media saying that while she supported having a woman in the White House, it was not a nod to Clinton. And so, of course, the left now claim, oh, well, she must be a Republican, and therefore she supports Trump. Again, she was partisan, but the left, they twist it. Well, in strolls JK Rowling with the ultimate clapback. Some pretty boring sod writes on X, pretty sure she was a Trumper. Nothing of value was lost, prompting this from the author, oh, do F off. At a conservative estimate, Dolly Parton was 100,000 times the person you are. Burn. And then there's this sicko. Why is it never Trump? And then there's this one. Dolly Parton dying before him feels like a cruel joke. Totally normal stuff. Unhinged. Now, an icon dies and the left screams for Trump's death. I mean, instead of honouring her, honouring the music, the hits, the lunatic asylum come out of the asylum. And have a look at this. Everyone is waiting for Trump to say something horrific about Dolly Parton. It's inevitable. Oh, well, guess what, Rick Wilson? The flags are flying at half-mast at the White House. Donald Trump released a statement. Donald Trump loved Dolly, just as America did, just as the world did. I mean, seriously, who the heck cares what her politics were or were not? What is it with the left and their outrage machine? Why don't they just go away? Just go away and let the rest of us enjoy the memories and the songs that Dolly gave us all. Joining me now is award-winning journalist and author Paula Froelich, who you can find on Substack's Paula Froelich Uncensored, an absolute brilliant Substack that it is. Paula, nice to see you as always. Thanks so much for joining me. Well, it's happened. It's happened. The Freedom Flight. It's touched down in the UK with Harry and Meghan on board overnight. They landed in Birmingham at around noon local time. 6 years after Megxit, they're back in the land that they called racist, of course, back to a place Harry said that he could never see a world in which he could return to, and a place where they tarnished the institution. I mean, the irony of it, Paula.
Well, first of all, Danica, I'd like to call it the failure flight because that's exactly what it was, admitting failure in the U.S. Now, the other thing is there are reports, Sarah Vine from the Daily Mail reported that Meghan was seen out several days ago, and now they're thinking that this flight in Birmingham might have been some helpers with furniture. And I did actually hear that Meghan and Harry were there several days ago interviewing staff, although I find it hilarious because who the heck wants to work for them? As anyone who has watched my YouTube, Paula Froelich Uncensored, or read me, knows, they have lost anywhere between 18 and 25 professional staff, not including the round robin of staffers inside the home, including gardeners, housekeepers, maids, chefs, because you know she doesn't cook, and nannies.
Wow. I mean, they've got nobody left. And doesn't that just speak volumes of the two of them, and then perhaps that their personalities may just be the biggest problem here? Well, that's interesting, the report. So maybe it is a little bit of a decoy, because I was reading this morning that they landed in a private jet. Now, whether or not they were on board. And I just found this ironic, because if indeed they were on this private jet, they have lectured the world on climate change over the past few years. And this is a private plane that costs about $12,000 per hour for that 10-hour flight. It's got 2 bathrooms, comfortable seating for 13 passengers, 5 beds that sleep 6, and a storage case for 12 to 15 medium suitcases, Paula. And yet they have told us for years, climate change, the climate emergency. They are the eco-zealots when it suits them.
Oh, of course. I mean, you'll remember they won an award, and
Yes.
like a big environmental award for pledging to only have 2 children. Isn't that sweet?
Mm.
But the other thing, Danica, is that this is kind of par for the course with these two. They like to say one thing, do another. It's rules for thee, but not for me. Same thing that they had when they come out and talk to people about you should never put your kids on social media.
Mm.
What do? They put their own kids. Yes, their faces are hidden. Lily's not so much anymore. You're seeing a lot more of it. But then they feel free to hang out with children who have cancer and other people's children and put their faces all over social media. So this is really, I mean, it's par for the course for them, isn't it? To tell people one thing and do another. And God forbid, even if they weren't on that flight that landed today, we know that her billionaire friend, Victoria Jackson, has loaned her their plane in the past to fly back and forth from Europe. And God forbid these two should fly commercial.
Oh gosh, no. Though I'm pretty sure that they flew commercial when they came to Australia a couple of months ago. I'm pretty sure that that wasn't on their little private jet. But good to know that they've got one friend left. That one friend that's loaning them a private jet, Paula, and that's about it.
Oh, yes.
You're over in America, so I've got to ask you about the reaction. People saying, bon voyage, don't let the door hit you on the way out of the Montecito mansion. What's been the reaction?
Don't let the door hit you on the way out of America was actually a phrase that I wrote for the Times of London. Yes, that is exactly the reaction. Their neighbors in Montecito are kind of excited to see them go. They brought a lot of unwanted attention to the area, but they also didn't give anything back to the community. They weren't involved. They were not good neighbors, it is the term that is being used. Now in LA, it's like, see you later. Of course, in LA, the whole thing is, if you're invited to a dinner or a party or an event in LA, you'd better have something to bring to the table, right? It should be either sparkling conversation, you should have money, you should have power, and those two had neither. Harry was described to me as, in a kind way, uncomplicated, and I think you know what that means. And Meghan was, well, we just can't figure what she is or who she is. And by the way, this is from very genteel people who don't use the kind of language I like to use. I've always thought that subtlety just confuses people. So I'm with Bill Simmons when I say grifters.
Yep, I think that's the best way to put it. They are grifters. I've been calling them Mr. and Mrs. Grifter now for a very long time because that's what they are. They're professionals at it. I think Meghan absolutely is the professional at it. I wonder now, Paula, what their life is going to look like in the Cotswolds, apparently, which is hilarious because that's apparently where Harry lost his virginity. So I'm sure he's very knowledgeable with the fields behind the pubs of the Cotswolds.
Well, actually, it's funny that you bring that up, Danica, because I actually know where the house is in the Cotswolds, and it's very close to the field where he lost his virginity. And he said stuff like, I just really want to take my kids around and show them everywhere. At which point it makes you gag, because at one point he's going to be like, look, children, Archie, Lily, that there, yonder, in that spot is where Pa lost his cherry.
This is where Daddy became a man.
Things no child needs to know about their parents, or at least not where I grew up.
No.
Don't want to know it, don't want to hear it.
No, I don't want to. No.
Yeah, no. And the point is that from what I am hearing, Harry, there's no way in Sam H.E. double hockey sticks that he will ever go back to America full time. This is where he's wanted to be for the last couple of years. He's been bored. He's been restless. He's been frustrated. He's finally going to get to go back, hang out in his familiar pastures, hang out with the few friends he has left that Meghan didn't make him cut off. And Meghan, I'm hearing, will go back and forth because, frankly, there's nothing for her there. Yes, there's a Soho farmhouse. Who cares? Nobody hangs out there anymore. It's all full of very tacky people. And, well, granted, she might like that. But the point is, there's nothing for her to do. It's, as Germaine Greer once warned her, you will see vistas of boredom you never thought were possible. So she will go back and forth, wink, especially over the winter. Remember Ellen DeGeneres and Portia de Rossi moved permanently to the Cotswolds,
Mm-hmm.
citing Trump, something that Meghan and Harry are now citing, by the way, which is hilarious to me. But Ellen and Portia moved to the Cotswolds, and the first winter they were there, it was extremely rainy because they had a very dry summer in England, and their property was flooded. And I think they spent about a year, and then they're like, we have to go back. And they are now back in California. Well, this summer has been even drier and hotter. And England is expecting way more rain this fall and winter. So I can't imagine Meghan's going to put up with that.
No, of course not. She'll miss the sunny, the sunny coast of California way too much. There's no way she's going to cope with the rain. Although she might make a lifestyle program out of it. My winter in the Cotswolds. I mean, you never know what could be coming next. But they're not taking the chickens, though. Apparently the chickens are staying in Montecito. So
you can't bring chickens. Those are farm animals. You cannot get an international pet passport for chickens. Not to mention, I think chickens, the average lifespan is a couple years, and she don't care about no chickens. Let's be real clear.
No.
But the other point is,
yeah,
what the heck is she going to do in the Cotswolds? She doesn't have any friends there. No. And she might have one, Misha Nonu, but the other people in the Cotswolds, they're not going to put up with Montecito mumbo jumbo. All right. They're going to have a hard time not gagging or rolling their eyes if Meghan looks at them and says, what brings you joy? It's not going to work.
She'll offer them dog biscuits maybe from her private collection or some jams.
She stopped working on dog biscuits a long time ago, girl.
Well, they weren't selling. They're also in the warehouses along with the jams because nothing has sold over the years. I was having a look through Spare, this classic novel that we all love and know very well, Paula, this morning.
Yes.
And I was having a look at one of the passages, and just to show you how Harry was describing how he had to leave Britain at the time. He said stuff like, once upon a time, this was going to be my forever home. Instead, it proved to be just another flop. And then he says stuff like, when my wife and I fled this place, we feared for our sanity and our physical safety. And then even in one section, again, it's this same urgency by which he left. He said, I'd fled the land of my birth, the land for which I'd fought and been ready to die for. I took the drastic step of picking up our child and running like hell, leaving everything behind. Now, when you write about this, this just exposes his hypocrisy, right? Because when you are, you're running, fleeing, and then you turn up 6 years later, you demand security, which is extraordinary. But then why write about it that you basically didn't like the country you were born in, your mother country?
Well, the other issue is, Danica, let's be real. He kept saying, I was terrified for my life. Oh my God, my wife, my family, I have to go. Well, he's been back with Meghan and the children without security. They arrived this week without security, and I think they're going to be okay. There are other members who are working members of the royal family, like Princess Anne and Edward and Sophie, and they only get security when they are working. And everyone has done just fine, including Zara and Mike Tyndall. They are just fine.
Yeah, there's actually I was going to say
the only thing I just wanted to add is that perhaps by Harry saying all this stuff and noting in his book Spare that his kill number of Taliban was 25. He keeps putting himself and his family in danger. So, it's ridiculous. It's all so melodramatic.
It always is, yeah. And then, a couple of months ago, he claimed he could be the victim of a jihadi plot if he ever went back to London. So, well, if you're writing about how many people you've killed, I mean, for goodness sake, seriously, it is very, very dramatic. And actually, speaking of drama, I've got to show you this slot piece by People magazine. Of course, this is Harry and Meghan's preferred media outlet. They posted this puff piece. It says, Prince Harry never really stopped missing home. And in it, these ridiculous lines literally sound like it was fed from Team Sussex that says, Harry never really stopped missing home. He's missed that sense of connection and belonging. Britain is still home in many ways, says a source close to the couple. For Meghan, part of the appeal is what Britain can offer their children. Meghan feels very fortunate that they're able to give Archie and Lilibet the opportunity to experience both worlds, says a Montecito insider. But here was the real pearler, Paula. My biggest concern is the level of media attention she'll face in the UK, says a source close to Meghan. I'm worried for her. Paula, please, please.
Okay. I can't help you make it make sense, Danica. Just number one, right there. Number two, I give you top marks for not gagging while you read that. Good
Thank
job.
you. Yes, thank you. Yes.
And the only people who are constantly feeding the media is Harry and Meghan. Meghan's got a big job. No, she doesn't. Yes, she does. Meghan's doing this. No, she's not. Yes, she is. They constantly drop all the tidbits everywhere because without the media, without attention, who are they? You know, it's kind of like, does a bear go to the bathroom in the woods? Well, who knows if you're not there to see it? Does Meghan breathe if there's not People Magazine to talk about it? I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, exactly. No, they love People Magazine. That's absolutely the preferred media outlet for the two of them. Well, look, we're in for another big week and another couple of big months with the Sussexes and the Cotswolds. So strap yourselves in, ladies and gentlemen. Paula and I will be here to dissect it all, and we're very excited about it. That's it. We're watching. Now, look, let's change topic now because we heard the very sad news overnight that English actor Tim Curry has died at the age of 80. Curry had struggled with his health for more than a decade, and after a debilitating stroke, he has died at his home in Los Angeles. And I've got to say, he was a real good one. Look at this.
But maybe the rain is really to blame, so I'll remove the cause.
Oh, Dr. Frankenfurter, an icon of the decades, Paula. But he did make a career out of playing these obscure characters, and that is what he did so well.
Oh, I'm sorry. He made a career out of making obscure characters iconic. You had the butler in Clue, one of my favorite movies of all time. You also had him as the clown in the original Stephen King's It. I couldn't sleep for months after that. I still sometimes freak out when I think of it. And he's absolutely amazing. He's an original and just, God. There's it was a bad week for losing legends, wasn't it?
Oh, look, it was between, of course, Tim Curry and Dolly Parton, who's died after her brief battle with cancer, another icon. And I don't think we say people are iconic, but I think that only a certain caliber of individual is iconic. And Dolly Parton was one of them. She set the tone for the country music scene and was still singing until the very end, Paula. How is she being recognised over there?
Well, I also think she not only country, but she also did pop, she did rock, she did blues, she did everything. And a lot of people are talking about her accolades. She was nominated for Emmy, Tony, Oscar, Golden Globe, you name it. This woman was the original GOAT. I like to remember her, as I wrote in my column for the Times of London, as somebody who... You can't call her a celebrity, right? That's a pejorative. It's like calling Meryl Streep influencer. For me, she was the absolute embodiment of how a human being should be. She was just so wonderful. She took care of her family. She took care of her community. She took care of her fans. She took care of people she did not even know. She started the Imagination Library, sent out over 300 million books worldwide. When the big fires in the Smoky Mountains happened in 2016 in East Tennessee, she donated 12 million of her own money so that people could rebuild, because we all know the government wasn't fast enough. And she really just thought about the big picture, and she loved where she came from, a tiny little holler in East Tennessee, Seviersville, outside of Pigeon Forge. And she put Pigeon Forge on the map in the 80s by creating Dollywood, because she knew the coal mines were shutting down. And she also knew that people didn't want handouts. They wanted a job so that they could work and earn and take money back to their family with their head held high. And so she created Dollywood, which then created tens of thousands of jobs.
Wow. She was ahead of her time. She was ahead of her time, and she had the foresight to do that, to set up Dollywood. And I think that's absolutely incredible. And it's a lasting legacy.
Yeah, it is. And unlike other people in our day and age, this woman could have been a billionaire, but she gave away so much money. She was not, because again, what are you going to do? Die with all your money?
Mm.
And she wanted to take care of people while she was alive and while they were alive by giving them dignity. She always said, I won't give you what you want, but I'll give you what you need. And that included her family. She gave them education. She gave them a car and let them figure it out for themselves. And she also, in that way, gave them their dignity.
Yeah, an incredible woman, and she will
Mm.
certainly be missed around the world. And you can see from all the tributes. I mean, she's touched millions around the globe. So, yeah, really, really sad week for the loss of icons. I want to talk to you about child actors, because I noted that Anna Paquin, Christy Carlson Romano, and Melissa Gilbert, they're calling on Hollywood to protect child actors following the deaths, of course, only recently of Hayden Panettiere, but also Michelle Trachtenberg and Davy Chase. Panettiere's death at the age of 36 last Sunday prompted these actresses, who were child stars themselves, to make their concerns public. Paquin wrote on Instagram, she said, "It's not a coincidence that so many former, specifically pre-sexualized female child stars have profoundly sad lives and untimely ends. We were not as protected by the systems that look great on paper as we are supposed to be." And I guess, Paula, this has been a running theme, because you notice that a lot of child stars, they grow up, they have a lot of drug problems, they exit the spotlight. Look what happened to Amanda Bynes, for example, another prime example of a child star who was probably
Britney
exploited.
Spears, look at the
Yes.
Coreys. The list goes on and on. Yes.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, how big of an issue is it in Hollywood?
It's huge. It's always been an issue. I've been writing about it for almost, I don't know, check your watch, 30 years. I recently just wrote about it again on my Substack. I also for News Nation, my day job. And I recently also interviewed Sam Asghari, Britney Spears' ex-husband, who was basically like, yeah, no child of mine would ever do that. Absolutely not. You need to be a full human. And the thing about it is Anna Paquin was 100% right. I take a little issue with Melissa Gilbert, because Melissa Gilbert, first of all, it's very hard when you're living in a glass house to throw stones. You know, her husband is being charged with child molestation. Whether you believe it or not, it's still a sticky situation. And also in Melissa Gilbert's plea on her Substack, she wrote that she blames, what's the word, mobile phones, which weren't around when all those actors we just discussed were young, and also blamed that there's no safe spaces. You can't go to a party or premiere because everyone's a paparazzi. Well, I would also say to her, children should not be going out and partying and doing all of that stuff. They're children. They should be at home doing homework. So, and she also tried to blame the union, but she also forgot to add that she was actually the head of SAG-AFTRA, the union that's over that. And I would point to Anna Paquin saying that there were things on paper that were designed to protect the children, but they were just on paper. And that also falls under Melissa Gilbert's purview when she was head of SAG. So I am looking at that askance, but of course it is an absolute problem. And I don't think that any child actor should be working. I know that's hard to do, but I also think that any child actor who is working, their parents should be real known to children's services.
Yeah, absolutely. Because especially if they don't have good parents behind them as well to help them out, that's also another problem in itself. Paula, before we let you go, I've got to ask you about your brilliant exclusive on your Substack. Melania director Brett Ratner is dating a disgraced Chinese influencer. Now, he's had quite a history, Paula, and now this.
Yeah.
Tell us about it.
Well, they both had quite a history. I mean, Brett was canceled after the LA Times did a big expose on him with 7 women accused him and used their names. Olivia Munn, they were major actresses who were like, yeah, he did this to me. So he's had a comeback because of Donald and Melania Trump. I've also written that he, God bless him, has been living at Mar-a-Lago on the estates rent-free for a while. He's with Donald and Melania 24/7. He raised eyebrows because he was on their trip to China with them, which is when he secured the funding from the big group Tencent to fund Rush Hour 4, a project that has, just been in the works forever, but now it's going ahead because he got the money. He's with a woman named Dara Huang, and people who watch The Ladies of London will know Dara Huang, but also people who read tabloids will know Dara Huang. She had a child with Princess Beatrice's husband, Edo, and he unceremoniously dumped her and the child to all of a sudden just date Princess Beatrice. They were engaged, actually, when he dumped Dara, and left her for Beatrice. And now she went on The Ladies of London, where she left after 3 episodes and got very upset because the women called her a madam and accused her of lying, and then had the video receipts to show that she had indeed been lying. So they're now together, and I say God bless them. It sounds like they have a lot to talk about.
Sounds like a match made in heaven to me, Paula. Incredible, isn't it? Paula Frolic, and to all of our viewers, check her out. Paula Frolic, uncensored on Substack as well as YouTube. You're absolutely brilliant as always. Love your insights and love having a chat. Thanks so much, Paula.
Thank you, Danica.